The next chapter of the audiobook The Go Giver is The Law of Authenticity. What was it like? They were the first word either had spoken the whole 15 minutes they would been on the road into town, much like yesterday. When he had been unable to stop thinking about the office, Joe was now having a hard time tearing his mind away from Susan's note and her tearful area of woes the night before. Pinder's query caught him off guard. Sir, Joe don't think he had called Pinder, sir, since their first meeting. Applying the third law, said Pinder, what was that like for you? It occurred to Joe that up to this point, Pinder had never asked him anything about his homework or checked to make sure he was fulfilling the condition. So why was he asking now? A glance at Pinder told him the man was not checking upon him. He was asking because he genuinely wanted to know. It is because he knows something happened. He thought something important. It was. It went okay. I think it did. Honestly, I am not sure. Pinder nodded, as if Joe's response made complete sense. These lessons don't apply only to business, Joe. A genuinely sound business principle will apply everywhere in life, in your friendship, in your marriage, anywhere. That is the true bottom line. Not whether it simply improves your financial balance sheet, but whether it improves your life's balance sheet. I guess I never thought about that before. I highly recommend it. He glanced sideways at Joe. My wife and I remember have been married for nearly 50 years. 50 years? Joe echoed. 50 years? The man's marriage has lasted nearly twice Joe's current lifespan. Now this is going to sound very old-fashioned. Pinder glanced at Joe again, as if looking for confirmation that Joe understood this. Okay, Joe said, nodding. I believe there is one reason and only one reason that we have stayed together so long and are as happy together today as we were 48 years ago. More so, in fact, the reason is this. I care more about my wife's happiness than I do about my own. All I have ever wanted to do since the day I met her is make her happy, and here is the truly remarking thing. She seems to want the same thing for me. Wouldn't some people call that codependent? Ventured Joe. Yes, some probably would know that what I call it happy. Pinder laughed. Yes, certainly that. I was going to say I had called that success. Success. Joe thought about his life with Susan and how it had begun to feel like a constant drama of battle and compromise, 50-50, a losing proposition. Like what Sam says about networking. He commented, exactly. Pinder pointed out the windshield, and here we are. Joe saw the huge auditorium looming ahead and turned into the underground parking lot. They were going to hear the keynote speaker at an annual sales symposium. It was one of the city's largest events and it attracted participants from all over the country. Today's speaker, though, was a local resident. Her name was Deborah Davenport. The place was packed, but Pinder had reserved 2 seats for them at the back of the large hall. Joe was impressed by the size of the crowd. He guessed there were a good 3,000 people waiting to hear the speaker, and she did not disappoint. After the symposium, masters of ceremonies gave a brief, glowing introduction. The speaker stepped center stage to the standing ovation from the crowd. She waited gracefully until they had finished their applause and seated themselves. 12 years ago, I turned 42. She began. I got 3 presents for my birthday. One, my best friend gave me $100 gift certificate to J.C. Penney, which in those days was the high watermark of my fashion existence. She paused, looked to the right and to the left, then leaned forward towards the audience and struck a confidential, just between you and me pause. And by the way, she added, J.C. Penney is still my number one fashion experience. This was greeted by a round of laughter and applause. She grinned and waved everyone quiet. I mean, why throw your money away on overpriced fashion that is just be obsolete next year? Am I right? Beside ladies, she tapped her finger a few times to her temple. It is what a insight that makes you beautiful, not the wrapping. Another wave of laughter and applause rushed through the place. We are 60 seconds in and she owns the room. Joe marveled to himself. Deborah Davenport continued. 2. My 3 kids pooled their money and got their mom an all-day, all-expense paid retreat at a spa downtown. I mean the expensive kind, all day. And they planned it so they had enough left over to pay the babysitter. In fact, for just a breath, she wavered and seemed about to cry. In fact, they had called her and set it up so that she would be there all day without my finding out ahead of time, which, knowing now nosy their mom can be, was a miracle of administrative genius and first rate sneakiness. The crowd laughed a warm rustle of appreciation. 3. My husband gave me the most surprising gift of all. He gave me the wake up call of a lifetime when he walked out the door and never came back. Joe felt the room take a breath and hold it. It took me one full year to unwrap, open, understand, and use that gift. She looked around and Joe saw that she was meeting the eyes of individual after individual, not only in the first row, but throughout the crowded auditorium. Today I want to share that gift with every one of you. For the next 15 minutes, the speaker took them through her story. At 42, suddenly single and with 3 kids to feed, Deborah had never spent a day in the mainstream workforce. As a full-time mother, wife and manager of a busy household, she had juggled dozens of skills and worked grueling hours, but as she quickly learned, none of what she had spent the last 20 odd years doing was considered marketable. Everywhere I applied, she told the audience, I was overage and underqualified. After her husband left town, he spent the next few months pursuing a real estate license. Deborah was a quick study and passed the exam on her first try. The following 8 or 9 months were busy with learning and trying to follow all the advice and teaching of those in her firm. They taught me every kind of sales methodology and closing technique ever invented. I learned the direct close, the deal, concession close, the time driven close, and the trial offer close. They taught me the compliment close and the embarrassment close. The best time to buy close and the never the best time to buy close, the courtship close and the shame close. I learned every close from A to Z. She paused, looked around, then deadpanned. Oh, you don't believe me? A ripple of laughter went through the first few rows. Honey, I learned how to close. The rhythmic clap dissolved into a huge round of applause as everyone laughed and cheered her bravura performance. She held her hands up, eyes twinkling, until the laughter and clapping died down. And let me tell you what happened at the end of the year. I had not sold one single solitary property and I hated it. Every single desperate failing minutes of it. The hall was silent. That Thursday I turned 43. For this birthday, my best friend bought me a ticket to a sales symposium. Tell you the truth, I didn't want to go, but she was my best friend. She smiled, still is by the way, and she beamed down at the front row where Joe guessed the woman in question was seated. So, what could I do? She has awfully persuasive. Laughter from a cluster of women in front confirmed Joe's guess. I went to the symposium. She looked around as if suddenly recognizing where she was for the first time. Actually, it was this symposium. Matter of fact, I sat right where you are all still sitting right now on a Thursday afternoon in September, just like this one. This year, the keynote speaker was a man I had never heard of before. He talked about the importance of adding value to what you sell. Whatever it is you sell, he told us, even if it is a mundane commodity that everyone else is selling too, whether it is real estate, insurance, or hot dogs. And with a chill, Joe realized that Miss Davenport was talking about the man sitting next to him. Whatever it is, he said, you can excel by adding value. If you need money, he said, add money. And if you need a lot of money, add a lot of value. People in the audience laughed when he said that, but I didn't see anything funny. I was sitting way in the back, feeling just awful about my life. Somehow I got up the courage to raise my hand. His eyes lit right on me, and he said, yes, the woman in back. And I stood up and said, what if you need a lot of money fast? He nodded, smiled and said, then find a way to add a lot of value fast. The audience responded with a quiet ripple of laughter. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you, I thought about what he said all that weekend. I thought about it hard. What value could I possibly add to a real estate listing by a failure broker in a buyer's market? Sunday evening it came to me. What could I possibly add? Nothing. There was not one single solitary shred or ounce of value I could think of that insignificant little Deborah Davenport could add. After years of trying, I had proven I had no professional value whatsoever. What I had to offer these clients was nothing. That Sunday evening, I made up my mind it was time to quit. She paused. I had just. She paused again, took a breath to steady her emotion. He tapped her finger on her temple again and looked out at the group. You understand what was going on in here? When my husband walked out that door, my self esteem got up and walked out with him. Joe noticed hundreds of heads nodding. She was touching a powerful chord. My husband had seen me more as a liability than as an asset. The job market had agreed with him, and obviously so did the world of real estate. Who was I to argue the point? Joe glanced around and noticed quite a few dumb pairs of eyes. What mysterious power did this woman hold over them? Deborah Davenport gave a slow, sad shake of her head. A year later, and I still had not unwrapped my birthday gift. She took a sharp breath and let it out again, as if to shake off the mood. So I went in the next morning ready to clean out my desk. I had one last appointment that I couldn't wrestle out of. So purely out of obligation, I met the prospect and drove her to see the house. It is already over. I told myself so, what the heck. I just let myself have a good time with her. I let go of all the techniques. I didn't even bring spec sheets on the house. She chuckled disapprovingly. On the way over, we just chatted, talked about everything and anything silly stuff. I couldn't tell you for sure whether I was even told her the asking price. It was a most unprofessional, sloppy, irresponsible, disgraceful sales presentation in the history of real estate. She held up both hands in an attitude of exasperation as if to say, what a ditch. Huh. And of course, she bought the house. It took a full minute for the applause to die down enough for her to go on with her story. I learned something that when I said that my life as a mom, wife, and housewife manager left me with nothing the marketplace wanted, I was wrong. There was something else I had learned over those years, and that was how to be a friend, how to care, how to make people feel good about themselves. And that, my friend, is something to the marketplace want very much, always has, always will. The speaker at that symposium has said, add value, I had nothing to add but myself. And apparently that was exactly what had been missing. She paused and took a deep breath, giving her feeling a moment to settle. I have sold a few more homes since then. She began, and an appreciative wave of laughter went through the audience. Everyone present knew Deborah Davenport's sales record. A few more homes was probably the underestimation of the decade. Later, I met the husband of the woman I sold that first out to, and he connected me to some friends who were getting involved in commercial real estate. I had said I would never do that. Wrong again. Deborah Davenport's comment, and he connected me to some friends, touched a loose thread in Joe's mind. Something he had meant to ask a few days earlier but had forgotten about until now. He leaned over to Pinder and whispered, the connector. Pinder smiled and nodded. Aha. Thought Joe. So it was Deborah Davenport who sold Ernesto, the enterprising cafe owner, his multi-million-dollar commercial properties. When would he get to meet this character? And I have had the honor of being named the city's top realtor in both residential and commercial markets. Joe's mind was still buzzing. If it was this connector who had linked up Ernesto, Efraft and Deborah Davenport and had helped arrange the financing for Nicole Martin's fledgling software business, he leaned over again and whispered, who are we going to meet tomorrow? Pinder whispered, aha, the Friday guest. He nodded to himself. The Friday guest is a surprise. It is the connector, isn't it? Joe asked. I am finally going to meet the connector. Pinder just smiled and wouldn't say another word. And in the past few years, Deborah Davenport was saying, I have crisscrossed the country speaking to groups just like this group today, and I tell every one of them the same thing. I am here because I have the awesome responsibility and honor of selling you something far more valuable than a house. What I am here to sell you on is you. People remember this. No matter what your training, no matter what your skills, no matter what area you are in, you are your most important commodity. The most valuable gift you have to offer is you. Reaching any goal you set takes 10% specific knowledge or technical skills. 10% maximum. The other 90% is people skill. And what is the foundation of all people skills? Liking people, caring about people, being a good listener. Those are all helpful, but they are not the core of it. The core of it is who you are. It starts with you. As long as you are trying to be someone else or putting on someone acts or behavior someone else taught you, you have no possibility of truly reaching people. The most valuable thing you have to give people is yourself. No matter what you think you are selling, what you are really offering is you. She glanced towards the back of the hall, and Joe was startled to realize she was looking directly at him. Or at least, it certainly seems like it to Joe. You want great people skill? She leaned in towards the audience as if confiding something to her best friend. You want people skills? She repeated. Then be a person. She looked around from face to face. Can you do that? Will you do that? She looked to the left and to the right, again meeting the gaze of dozens of individuals. It is worth 10,000 times more than all the closing techniques that ever have been or ever will be invented. It is called authenticity. Joe remembered wondering what mysterious power this woman held over them and knew he had just heard the answer. They pulled out of the parking garage in silence and threaded their way through the downtown maze. Joe had thought about many things in the last few days and had re-evaluated much about the way he did business, but he had not been prepared for the impact that Deborah Davenport had on him with the single word, authenticity. He glanced over at Pinder's impassive expression, unreadable as the Symphonic, then back at the road. You know why I came to see you Saturday, Pinder nodded. You were hungry to learn about success, genuine success. Joe paused then said, actually, no, not really. The truth is, Pinder glanced at him, his eyes serious. Go on. Joe took a breath. I came to see you because I wanted to impress you. I wanted to gain your trust, and I was hoping, planning, actually to persuade you to help me put this deal together. This deal I am working on to bring your money and connection. And you know, Joe's voice dropped to an almost inaudible confession. Your clout. There it was, he had said it, and now it was out in the open. His reason was coming to see the man in the first place, the BK account, clout and leverage. Joe had never seen Pinder angry. He certainly didn't want to see it now. Nevertheless, he took another breath, then forced himself to turn back and look his mentor in the eye. It was a stupid reason, Joe said. Pinder spoke softly. No, not stupid. It is where you were. That is all. Besides, that was not the reason you came to see me. You only thought it was the reason you came to see me. Joe started at him. Then, what was the real reason I came? Pinder smiled. You were hungry to learn about success, genuine success. The fourth law, the law of authenticity. The most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself.